Hey everyone, welcome back to Boho Jewel. I'm Sandra, and today we're going to play with resin a little bit more. So last week I posted a video of a resin kit that I had gotten, the Let's Resin kit with all of these little molds in it. It came with the silicone molds and some resin and all these mica powders that I have in these little containers right now. And then it also came with the leaves, the gold, the silver, and the copper leaf. So I'm going to use the mica powders and this and the silicone molds from that kit, but instead of using the It's Resin, which it was very liquidy and it didn't get me that geode coaster look that I was going for, I'm actually going to be using the amazing clear cast resin today to see if we can kind of get those effects and kind of play around with it. Those coasters are pretty popular. I don't know if they're still really popular. I know they were for a while. Sorry, I hope they're doing some yard work outside. Apparently they just decided to start now, so hopefully that's not too noisy in the background. Anyway, I'm going to try to make these geode coasters using this because this does set up a little quicker than the other resin, and so I feel like we can get those effects and those color separations more. So hopefully they'll be quiet in a minute and I'll flip you guys around and we'll get started. So yay, it's quiet right now for a minute. Thank goodness. I think they were just cleaning up the edges. They were mowing the grass out there earlier. So, all right. So I have already mixed up my clear cast resin. So with most resins, you'll see on this is a reusable cup I use. I like to just kind of mark my, like I've got my 20, my 40, 30, because at one time I did 30, and then there's the 10. I just like to take a Sharpie and mark those because it's easier to see sometimes. But I did mix it up. It's equal parts of the A and equal parts of the B, so 20 and 20. And I have been letting it sit for about 10 minutes. So this one, you'll notice if you watch the other video, this does tend to have a little bit more of those little fine bubbles, but I notice most of the time it tends to, oh no, it tends to smooth out. This is why we use a work surface. And it tends to fix itself, which is no big deal. So, I'm gonna clean that up. I'll be right back. Okay, oopsie. So anyway, it once it sets, I notice the bubbles sort of work themselves out. So I've used this one a lot. I'm usually really happy with it. This is just a little cutting board. Look, I marked on the back, it says craft board. You can see some tape. Usually when I'm making jewelry and stuff, I'll use one of these and put my little cabochons and things out with wax paper on it. I'll tape the wax paper to the back. That's what this is from. And that way, if any of the resin spills over, I don't have to worry about it getting stuck to my table or another surface, because that's happened. But I thought I would put this here. Let me see if that's going to show up well. I might actually just keep it on the white surface for you guys. I thought maybe you'd be able to see it a little better on that board. But anyway, there's a craft board tip for you. So, and anytime you use something like that, any kind of things that could be construed as usable for food, definitely label it and only use it for crafts. Just a little side tip. So I've been letting this sit for about 10-15 minutes, and this resin does tend to start to harden up and start to set after about 30 minutes. So you have about a 30-minute working time before it really starts getting sort of molassesy and solid. So I have these little cups too. These are all reusable silicone cups. I got a great big set of these. I really like them. I'll see if I can find the link and put it in the description below. It's really easy to just get the resin off of it once the resin is dry. So they're reusable, which financially is great and environmentally is great as well. So what I'm going to do, I mixed this up and I'm going to put some resin in both of these. And we're going to mix our mica powders into them. Sorry, I saw a little, I think it's on the bottom, something in there. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of my resin into one. Leave some mixing room. And then into the other one. And then I'll still have a third color in the big cup. You could do as many as you want. I think I'm going to try just 3 colors and see what we can get. So these are all the mica powders that came with the kit, and I'll try to think about it. I'll link the kit below as well. So let's see, for like a pretty geode, I kind of want it. So I'm going to do a little bit of this sort of coppery brown in one. And you don't need a ton. the mica powder actually goes a long way. I'm just going to scoop a little bit. Oh, that might be too much. Oh, we'll see. That might be fine. The mica powders go a really long way. So I feel like the kit was actually a good deal just for all of this stuff that came with it. And just gently stir it up until it's blended in. You don't want to whip your resin. You don't want to whisk it like scrambled eggs. You want to be gentle with it. It just helps to avoid, oh, let me get in the camera there. It helps to avoid spillage, but it also helps to prevent air bubbles. And I just love how some of the mica powders look, where they get that really pretty, just almost like molten metal kind of look to them. So I'm going to do that. It's kind of a natural earthy looking tone in there. And then, what do you guys think? So many colors to choose from. Sometimes it's too much. Maybe, I don't know, I'm feeling sort of pinkish today. Should we try this one? I haven't tried that red yet. I don't know. I really like this one. Let's just do this one. So again, I'm just going to add a little bit of this. Just a little on the edge. These are silicone sticks as well. And maybe just a tiny, tiny little bit more. And again, once the, I mean, there's still a little resin on there. Sorry, a little messy. But once the resin dries on them, you can just peel the resin off and reuse them. And I believe, if I remember right, I think they actually came with the whole silicone kit. So I'm just going to mix that up really nicely. And by the time, and then I'll pick a third color and mix it into my larger cup. And then I think by the time these are all mixed, we'll be able to pour it, start pouring it and see how it works out. Now the other resin, the whole issue with that one was it stayed really, really runny for a long time. So I'm going to give this just a few extra minutes. I think we're going to, once we get to like that 20-minute mark, I don't know. I don't think we even need to wait till the 20-minute mark. I think just once I get this one mixed, we'll come back and start pouring. But the other resin stayed so liquidy that, actually have another stick right here. So I'm just gonna, just to show you guys, I'm gonna set that aside, let it dry, and then peel the resin off. It's actually way less stressful than trying to clean it off with anything. But anyway, the other one stayed so liquidy that everything just sort of ran together. So I had tried to do this geode with a couple of different colors, and it looked like it was gonna be fine. And then after it sat overnight, it just, everything went into one color. So, but it is a nice resin, just not necessarily for this kind of project. So let's see if we can make the magic happen with this. I'll be right back. All right, so with geode shapes, a lot of times when you see like a geode cut out, you know, there's lots of little rings, almost like rings on a tree. But I'm not sure how much will control the resin, but I'm going to use this darker color, and I'm going to just try to get it around that edge first. I may not have enough to get all the way around. I'm experimenting with you guys. I haven't done one of these like this yet. Oh, uh-oh. Getting a little wobbly. So I'm just going to do that around the edge. You can always mix more resin too. But already, like this resin, it's a thicker sort of resin, so it does sort of stay where it's supposed to stay, I guess you might say. And then let's do, I mixed up a gold. I thought that just would be really pretty. It's not going to look like probably anything actually out in nature. But if you wanted to do an amethyst or, you know, quartz or something like that, you could always just look at images specifically of those geodes, those gemstones in their natural state, and definitely mix accordingly. This is going to be sort of a fantasy geode. So just try to keep it on that line, which is, I've never done this. So this is actually like steady as she goes kind of feeling. Like, let's do this thing. Okay. And then we're going to do a little bit of the pink. When I first got these, this is so funny. I was like, well, who needs like a big thick heart shape? Probably not bend that one up. But who needs like a big thick heart shaped shape like that? What are you going to make paperweights? And then I realized, oh, it's just a cute way to do the cups for the mixing of the things. And I wouldn't stress too much about like getting an exact circle shape because that's not how they work in nature either. So you can kind of see, I don't know how well you can see where they're sort of, let me go the other direction on the next one. I know my hand's in the way of the camera probably, where it just sort of, it does the little wobbly lines. I think that's totally fine. Just use this little tray to keep my resin overflow under control. And then I'm going to do another line. Let's go the other way, so hopefully you guys can see a little better. And I would love to know if you guys have made some geodes, some geode coasters. I would love to see them. You guys will have to tag me on Instagram. If you follow me here, if you subscribe, I would love to see all of the creative things you guys are doing with these tutorials. Hopefully they're helpful. Hopefully you're enjoying, and I would love to see some of your work. Yeah, that's working pretty well. So I'm kind of excited how that's working out. We're going to do another little gold area. And then I think because the coaster's so deep, I think the thing to do with this would be create the pattern, create the design, and then fill it, right? Oop, I think that'll be okay. And then because it's obviously not coming all the way to the top, because if we filled it all the way to the top, it's going to want to fill the whole space. So create the pattern and the design, and then just trying to decide if I wanted to, yeah, we'll just create the pattern and design, and then once it sets, go in with a clear layer to make your coaster thicker, or you might not even want to go around that little bump. You might not even necessarily want to make your coaster thicker. Just kind of work with that little organic shape there. Oh, they're making the noise again. I hope you guys can't hear it. We're just going to use all of that up, and then we're going to fill that center with the gold, I think, before it fills up. And then go in with just a clear coat of resin to fill it up all the way. Or, you know, if you don't want a really thick coaster, you can always just leave it thinner. But I'm kind of happy with that. That's kind of cute. And then, of course, I'm going to add a little sparkle and glitter because you can't have, you know, you got to have a little extra glitter and zhuzh. So let's just add a little bit of that. Now, this gold leaf is a mess, you guys. I mean, not this particular, but gold leaf just tends to be a mess. I'm actually going to mix that in here because I feel like if I try to sprinkle that over top of that right now, it's just going to get everywhere because you can see it just, it's sticking to me. It's sticking everywhere. Grab my towel. So I'm going to put a little bit of gold leaf in there and mix that up. So I just added the gold leaf in here. You can barely even see it. It's just going to be kind of chunky, but I'm going to try that and see what happens. It might just end up chunky, but I'm hoping that once the resin sets, and I'm just going to add, well, no, I think I'll stick with the pouring method. I'm hoping that once it sets, you'll be able to see the little bits of gold leaf. Probably not, though. This might have been, I maybe should have tried to sprinkle it in, but it was just, I'm really loving the pattern, so I don't necessarily want to do that. But we'll see if it kind of peeks through a little bit, right? So I'm going to try that. And I'm hesitant now to add more layers of the darker color. Well, it's almost empty anyway. So now you can see too, like, let me see if you guys can really see how that's pouring. You see how slowly it's pouring out now? Try to cautiously. So at this point, like this one, you can see where it's really starting to get molassesy because it's been sitting for about 25 minutes between me pausing the camera and mixing it before I started the video and all that. So you see how it's pouring slowly now. So it's just something to keep in mind. Again, not a bad thing. It just depends on the project you're working on and what you're wanting to do and wanting to accomplish. So I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm going to flip you guys back around and close this up for now. Finish it up for now. Okay, so I am going to let this set. Anytime you do resin, I see a little spill right here. It's lots of spills. That's why my table is so colorful. Anytime you do a resin project, I always recommend letting it sit overnight for sure, at least 24 hours, to let it completely solidify, to completely cure before you start messing with it at all. And especially with the silicone molds, because they are super flexible. So when you go to pick them up, even if you're picking it up to move it, like I'm gonna have to move this into my bathroom so that my cat doesn't get to it, I'm going to just kind of slide it onto this board and move it in there so that my little cat doesn't get her furry little paws in there, because that would be a big mess. But just be aware of that. So like if you're picking these up, you know, it's really easy to kind of spill the resin or move it when you're working on a pattern like this. But I'm really excited about this. I think this is going to work out. And so as soon as it's done, I'm going to put a clear coat over it, or another coat of clear resin rather, and I'll unmold it and show it at the end of the video. And yeah, let me guys, like I said earlier, I know I'm kind of rambling because I was working while I was doing this video and something new, but I would love to see your guys' project. So I'm so excited. Thank you so much for all the subscribers and everybody who watches. I'm just happy that my channel is doing well, and it's motivating me to make more videos and explore more creative things. So if you're on Instagram, find me on Instagram at bohojoel. I'll put that up here somewhere and in the description, and just tag me in projects that you're working on. And if you are curious about trying something new, let me know. I'm willing to experiment. So someone had actually asked about creating a geode coaster with nail polishes, because I had done a nail polish and resin video quite a while back. So once this sets up, I will do that as well. So maybe I'll be able to do that this week still and get that posted and see how it works out. So I'll unmold this in, you know, editing magic in like a few seconds. Oh gosh. But for me, it'll be tomorrow. So anyways, I'll see you guys soon, and take care. Bye. So it is done, and here is the finished result, which actually looks pretty cute, but I'm gonna tell you, I didn't finish, like I didn't add an extra coat of resin, so it's really, really thin, but you can see where some of that gold leaf popped up right there. So I thought maybe if I was gonna do that, I'd just do a clear coat or maybe some with gold leaf, but it did kind of retain some of that shape, but I messed up a little bit, you guys, and I'll point it out in the video when I go back to edit where I should have stopped. So what I did, because I can't just leave things alone. So let's see, this is where it was in kind of in the mold. I think that shows it a little better. So where I had some extra of the gold, I went ahead and poured it on top. And so I think what happened was that ended up blurring those lines a little bit more, but it definitely has a little bit more of that geode pattern. So that's my mistake. So I think what I'm gonna do is try this technique again, maybe do like a really quick little sped up video for you guys to watch and see if it works out better if I leave it alone when I'm supposed to leave it alone. And I'll share that as well. But I think that definitely is going to work a little bit better. And I'm also going to try this with inks. I have some resin specific inks to use that I can try to see if we can get a pretty geode with the same kind of technique, because you can see with the mica powders how they just sort of naturally, they have their own little texture that they sort of bring to the table, which I don't hate. I think it's fine. But yeah, so that worked out pretty good. So you guys let me know in the comments if you try this, what you think about it, and I'll work on doing another little, like I said, a little quick video to just kind of add, and I'll add it in the cards once I have that done as well, so you guys know where to reference to it. So I hope that was helpful. You guys let me know if you're playing around with this, or if you're making different kinds of coasters, or what you're doing, or what you'd like to see me do next. And meanwhile, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.